Turn it up.
Welcome to the Boston Sports Hack, the show that talks about Boston sports and lots of other stuff. My name's Felix Brown. Across the desk is Annie.
How's it going?
It's going well. You know, Annie, it occurred to me the other day that the window for championships in Boston is slowly closing. The Red Sox are toast. The Patriots don't look that great. The Bruins are regressing. And the Celtics, well, who really gives a darn about them? So what I wanted to know today is, what are your top three Boston championship moments? And where were you? How did you feel? Tell me about your number one.
I think my number one, it's cliche, but I think I would go, it's a close call, but the Red Sox, 2004.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's
So
probably my
good.
number one, too.
Is it? Yeah.
Where were you when you watched it?
I was by myself in a new place.
With all your friends.
I just moved to Washington State from
Ooh.
the East Coast. Yeah, and was in a bar
Yeah.
by myself, but was on my cell phone with about 1 million people the entire
cool.
night. I had my own little corner of the bar. I set up, they had armchairs in
Okay.
this bar, so I took over a whole section of like this armchair couchy area and drank a lot and ate and was there for hours. And just talked to people on the phone and called my dad the minute it happened. My dad and I were on the phone together saying, "Do you
Wow.
believe this?"
So
Awesome.
you were in a bar.
Yep, in Washington State.
Surprise number one.
And
And they had kind of cordoned you off and quarantined you in a corner.
Yes.
And you were, that sounds like a pretty cool time in Washington State. And it's hard. I was myself,
Yeah.
was in Montpelier, Vermont.
Nice.
And I had a bottle of champagne.
Nice.
And I was with some friends. And when the Sox won, we popped the champagne, drank. And I have to be honest, it's my number one sports championship too. Because my grandfather, who was a cab driver in Boston for
Nice.
years, we used to sit and listen to the AM radio.
Nice.
And he always said the Red Sox will never win, they'll never win. And he
Yep.
died. He lived his whole life without ever seeing the Red Sox win.
My
So
grandfather too.
did
Yep.
a toast to him,
Yep.
shed a couple of tears.
Yep.
It was a pretty poignant moment.
It was. It totally was. It was. I wish I had what you had. It would have been cool to have been home for that. I mean, it was great. I had a good night. It was
Yeah.
fun to like be on the phone, and it was. It was not. It was memorable. I totally remember everything about that night. But it would have been nice to have been in Boston.
Yeah.
The vibe, it just would have been incredible.
And I think what was even better about that series was not so much the World Series, but the fact that what we did to the Yankees when
Yes.
we came back from 3 down
Yep.
and just rubbed their noses in it, and that couldn't have been better.
So I remember that. So my parents came to visit for that series, actually. And so I remember being in the hotel room where they were staying with my dad, watching that, and just being like, what the F? Like, here we go again. Another
Yeah.
year. You know, they looked terrible. Remember those first 2 games? They looked terrible, that series. And then he flew home back to Boston, and then we obviously talked, and
Yeah.
one game came, and the next game, and you're just like, holy crap, they're going to turn this around. It was
Game
magical.
3, they gave up 19 runs, I think. And I made sure that I watched Game 4 because coming off of 2003, where Wakefield gave
Right.
up the home run to the Yankees to lose in the ALCS. And
Yep.
I always watched the Red Sox because I always told myself, you got to feel it. You got to feel it. And I
Yep.
wanted to endure the pain because
Yes.
something
There's something-
manly about that. And so I definitely stayed up and watched all the games and made sure that
Yeah.
even when they were losing, I think it was like 19-4, I stayed for watched the whole game.
Yep.
So let me jump to number 2. 'Cause
Okay, fun.
You said it was close, and for me, it was pretty close too.
Okay, cool.
It was the 2001 Patriots and their first
Really?
Super Bowl
Okay.
championship.
Nice.
It was incredible. I was still at the same place in Montpelier
Nice.
with a bunch of friends. And when Adam Vinatieri, I just bought this house, and it was an old 100-year-old house.
Nice.
And when Vinatieri knocked it through, we were jumping up and down so much that I thought it was going to fall down.
Awesome.
It was amazing, and I stayed up all night. And the thing I remember most about it is that it was so surreal that they actually won. It was like having an out-of-body experience
Yes.
because you're not so used to the Patriots being a doormat.
Yes, that's so true. And actually, I will say just really quick, the Red Sox 2004 was kind of that way too. It was a little surreal. It was like, wow, what just happened?
It was.
So I agree. My second, that's a good one though. That's a good second. My second is the Bruins 2011 Stanley Cup.
Really? That's your number 2?
It totally is. I
Wow.
love everything about those. I mean, some of those game 7s were the best hockey you've ever seen in your entire life.
It was.
And just that team was super likable. And you felt like they shouldn't have been in that spot that they were in, but they were just playing their ass off to get there. Tim Thomas, like that stick save he did, I forget what series it was. Was it the Tampa Bay series maybe?
Yeah,
it was still just incredible. Like, I mean, they're just super fun to watch in that series.
That was pretty good. And it's funny about that team, it's almost the same team now.
I know.
Except for Tim Thomas, and they're so unlikable.
But it feels totally different, right?
It does.
I know.
I can't stand them.
No, I love that team. And, just all that intangibles, like when Nathan Horton, when he was up in Vancouver and he had the Boston water. Remember he had that concussion and then he poured the water onto the ice and Vancouver just sucked so bad and we hated them and there's just so much good intangibles with that. And I was in Oregon at the time, still not in the East Coast. I missed a lot of these. And I was super homesick actually. So it was, it
drove up to Vancouver and turned some cars over and lit some stuff on fire.
I know, right? I could have joined the crowd. Losers. But anyway, it was a fun one. It was a really fun one.
That was a good one.
It had all the perfect things that kind of think go along with it. Especially a long run like that.
Yeah, it was a great run and the games were intense every night. Yeah. So what was your number 3?
My number 3 is the 2003 Patriots when they beat Carolina.
Oh.
I think just good football. That was a good game. Right? I mean...
Yeah, it was 38-35, I think, was the final.
I think so. It was,
back and forth.
Yep, it was good. But I remember just at the time, I was living on the Cape. We had a good group of friends, and we used to do football Sundays. We all would make food, just sit around and watch football. And everyone had different teams. Like there were Steelers fans, Patriots fans. I mean, all different kinds. People kind of come in and out. It was pretty loose. But for that game, everyone was super into it and just hanging out, eating good food, drinking beer, and watching football.
It ended up being a great game, and Jake Delhomme was the opposing quarterback. But I remember not being, I'll have to be a little critical, because I remember not being that excited about it because it was the Carolina Panthers, and I always thought, I remember thinking to the Panthers, it's not like a marquee matchup when you have the Carolina Panthers, who the heck are these guys?
Right.
But they did put up a good fight, better than we thought they would, but we knew all along the
But you also were in the midst of their dynasty at that point.
When Tom Brady used to be good.
Yeah, exactly, before he crapped out on us. Yeah, you knew they were good, like the defense was rocking it. You just knew that they were gonna, it was fun to be that good and just in it, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was a great game, and Vinatieri comes up big with a game-winning field goal.
Which is always awesome, right?
That guy was money.
I know. I would never have gotten rid of him. For me, never, ever, ever would have traded him. Ever. But that's just me, not Bill. Sorry, Bill.
Yeah. And sorry, Steven Gostowski.
Oh, I know. Who's solid? He's super solid, but I don't ever like him the way I liked Vinatieri.
Well, he's never had the chance to kick a big game-winning field goal in the Super Bowl.
Because they haven't won it in like 9 years.
Because they haven't won. My number 3 was the 83-84 Celtics, when the Celtics, and I'm no big Celtics fan, but it was such a great run, and it was the time when it was Bird versus Magic, and McHale against Worthy, and it was amazing basketball. And it was a different game than it is today because guys would actually pass the ball.
More team-oriented.
They were a team.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an individual sport. And the two marquee players, Bird and Magic, were going up against each other, and the Celtics won it in 7 games.
Yeah.
One of the best times I've ever had. I was a younger man then.
Nice. Where were you
then? I was living in New Hampshire, actually, at the time, and I was with some high school friends, and we just had the best time watching those Celtics. Hey, Annie, we are out of time for this week. Excellent walking down memory lane with
feedback from people. What's their favorite?
Yeah, make sure. I want to know what your favorite is, and so does Annie, don't you?
I do, because actually, I think we're at the end of this. We're getting to darker days are coming, so we have to relive these memories.
We'll be old people and the old folks home. Remember when the Patriots beat Philadelphia?
Yeah, your kids might never see a Red Sox championship again.
They probably won't. They probably won't. Anyway, make sure that you like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/SportsHack. And follow us on Twitter @SportsHack72. My name's Felix Brown.
I am Annie.
We will see you next week.